someone who has a very popular YouTube channel. It's JetsCentral 24, also known as Ian, and I'll call you JC24 and Ian. How is your night going, man?
Hey, my night's going great. But before you ask me any questions, I just want to say I'm super grateful for you having me on the show, and I'm just really thankful.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure to get Jets perspectives here on ESPN Radio in Philadelphia, Rover Sports. And again, we're talking to JetsCentral 24. The link is in the description to check out all of his content. And my first question for you, Ian, is what motivated you to make this channel, to make this YouTube channel?
Right. So when I was in high school, or when I got out of high school, I never really had a real career path. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but ever since I was a little kid, I've loved football. Honestly, I can wake up in the first minute of the day. I can study football throughout the whole day, and by the time I go to sleep, I will not be sick of it. I just don't get burned out of it. I love it, and so by annoying my friends all the time talking about it, everyone kind of suggested that I make a blog or a YouTube channel or something to talk about the Jets and just my passion in general. And I thought about it, and I decided, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And I did it, and I'm so happy I did because I connected with a lot of smart, a lot of nice, genuine people, and it's always good to talk about football, and that's basically why I kind of created my channel.
Now, Ian, me and you had, conversations in our pre-production meetings on the phone, and you mentioned that you live in a southern state that is, in fact, very different from New York. So I'm curious, how did you end up being a New York Jets fan?
Right. Yeah, I get this question all the time. I'm from South Florida, the Treasure Coast, the East Coast of Florida, and, everywhere you look, in the part where I live, it's just Miami Dolphins fans everywhere. And growing up, I kind of wanted just to stick out. And with my dad being from up north and him being a huge Jets fan, that was just the perfect opportunity for me to pick a division rival of the Miami Dolphins. My dad's favorite team growing up, and I've just been wearing green ever since I was a little kid.
I get that. And Miami Dolphins fans, so you have a lot of banter then with the Miami fans. Do you ever make fun of them for maybe leaving early, or making fun of them maybe for not having a quarterback in what seems like forever?
Well, yeah. I mean, I always kind of go back and forth with them, but with the quarterback situation, I have no place to talk about that, unfortunately. Quarterback's by far my favorite position. I think it's the hardest position in all of sports. And, I wish for, since I was a little kid that we had a real franchise quarterback. Pennington was my favorite player of all time. Not saying he was the greatest Jet, but he was just my favorite player. I looked up to him big time growing up. But, in regards to the Miami Dolphins and the trash talk between us, if I wear a Jets jersey or a Jets shirt anywhere, you're going to hear some chirping. That's just kind of the nature of the game. And, whenever I kind of see a Dolphin hat or even a Patriot hat for, somebody that's retired or whatever the case may be, I always kind of, throw in a quick little jab here and there. But it's all in good nature.
So, Ian, you're 22 years of age. What was your favorite year as a New York Jets fan?
Favorite year, 2010, 2011. New York Jets, Rex Ryan's second year, Mark Sanchez's second year. We made it to the AFC Championship that year. We lost, unfortunately, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But, that's definitely my favorite game I've ever watched was the New York Jets New England Patriots in the divisional round of the playoffs. I just remember, that night watching that game with my little brother and my dad. And, it was just, honestly, it was one of my best nights of my life. Not going to lie to you. That's how much I love the Jets. That's how much I love football. And we came out victorious. Everybody betted against the Jets. Everybody. And the previous matchup, I think we lost by a final score of 42-3 in Foxborough. The game was in Foxborough in the playoffs, and the Jets came in there, beat them in their house. And that was just my favorite game and favorite season of the New York Jets that I can remember.
Yeah, Ian, going back to that time, I mean, that was just such an incredible ride because, the year before, you had Peyton Manning and the Jets went into, Indianapolis, and you had Braylon Edwards had the huge first half, and and the Jets were half away from winning, the AFC. And then, Peyton Manning dominates the second half, and the Jets, kind of lose, and they weren't really even close there in Indianapolis in the second half. But then Nick Folk hits the field goal in the wild card game, like you're saying, and then you go into New England, and I just remember Mark Sanchez, and the reoccurring memory I have of that game, Ian, and you probably have more memories, is LaDainian Tomlinson just dominating catching the football from Mark Sanchez in that Patriots game.
Yeah, oh yeah, I have that whole New England Patriot New York Jet game memorized. With the Cotry play. I mean, you could go down the list on how many great plays both sides made. But I would say the most distinctive play from that game, the New England Patriot Jet game in that divisional round, I would say the play would be Cromartie picking up the onside kick and running back in the fourth quarter. That was awesome. I love that. And then another classy act by the Jets was actually before the game. We brought out Dennis Bird's jersey to the coin toss, which I thought was first class by the team and Rex Ryan. I think it was Rex Ryan's idea, and that was just total class. And for those of you guys who don't know, Dennis Bird was a New York Jet, and he got paralyzed from playing actually in a game. He got paralyzed somehow. I think he went in for a sack. And the other guy hit him. Long story short, he was paralyzed, and he made a motivational speech before the game, and the rest is history. We won the game.
Ian, I wanted to ask you this question. I'm a huge fan of football, and I'll just say it right now. Like, I'm honestly a New York Giants fan, and I kind of have a very similar childhood to you. I've grown up in the Philadelphia area, and I do have family that lives in New York as Giants fans. And I bring it up because I'm a huge Giants fan, and during the 2007 championship run, I always wore the same jersey. And during 2011, I wore the same jersey as well. So my question to you is, after the Jets beat New England, like, as a fan, do you have superstitions? And during that Pittsburgh first half, where it was maybe the worst half of the entire season, did you honestly change your location of watching the game because you just said, you know what, this place is so unlucky, this place is cursed? Like, did you change your location? Because the Jets, they almost came back in that Steelers game, Ian.
Hey, right. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, we were actually, it was almost a little too late in that game because we started clicking in the fourth quarter. But in regards to your question, I am pretty superstitious. None of my friends are. My little brother's not at all. They all look at me like, I have two heads. But, if we're not doing too well in a game, I'll get up and I'll switch my seat. Or, if I got an extra shirt in the car, if I'm watching at, like, a restaurant or something, I got to go change or throw on a different jersey or something. I got to switch up the karma somehow. So, yeah, I am pretty superstitious.
I wanted to ask you more about the Rex Ryan era because I think it's the most fascinating, just in terms of just incredible lines, Ian. And Rex was really on top of the world. And do you still sometimes, like, look back at those years and just think, like, that you guys kind of just blew it up too soon, or that bringing Tebow aboard, or that, Tannenbaum didn't bring in the talent? Like, do you still think Rex could have worked out? That's kind of what I'm asking.
Right. I got you. So I loved Rex Ryan. I liked Mangini, but I loved Rex Ryan. I thought he did a great job of bringing juice, bringing attitude to the New York Jets, something that they needed, when they needed it most. But I loved Rex. I thought he was a defensive genius. I still think he is. And to be honest with you, I did root for him in Buffalo. When he was with the Buffalo Bills, I didn't mind him as much as I do. But I think that it was time for a change in New York. I'm looking at, Todd Bowles being available and Dan Quinn being available. I think that they made the move to get rid of Rex. They also got rid of John Idzik, the general manager, who definitely had to go, in my opinion. Didn't do enough in free agency, didn't do enough in the draft, wasted a lot of draft picks for sure. But, when you look early on in Rex Ryan's era with the Jets, in my belief, is that they had a lot of veteran leadership, which is something that I really like in teams. They had a lot of veteran leadership with Kadri and Braylon Edwards, Santonio Holmes, LT, the whole offensive line. I could go down the list, Tony Richardson and whatnot. And I think once the pieces started to go, whether it be via free agency or whatever the case may be, when the team started losing pieces, losing that veteran leadership, and, Sanchez lost some weapons, I think his weaknesses showed as a quarterback. And then Tannenbaum, who was the general manager at the time, you could tell he was all about getting big names, and with like Tebow and whatnot. So I think after that season, after we went 8-8, the following season, the 2012 season, once we started going downhill, I think that then it was just kind of like a panic mode, like let's just get the headlines and kind of deal with it. But I love Rex, but I definitely thought it was time for a change.
We're talking here with JetsCentral 24. He hosts a great YouTube channel talking all about the New York Jets and all about football. I wanted to ask you about Mark Sanchez. I look back at Mark Sanchez and, still, Mark Sanchez has double the playoff wins of Tony Romo, which is pretty unbelievable. The way that he performed in the Cincinnati game, particularly his first year, in San Diego, just in the playoffs, he didn't turn the ball over. He was very crisp. He can always hit the slant route. Why do you think Mark Sanchez regressed so much? You mentioned him losing his weapons. Do you think that maybe, Ian, he just tried to, maybe the Jets were like holding him back and simplifying things, and then maybe he just tried to play outside of his abilities? Like, you watch Sanchez all the time. Why did Sanchez regress?
Right. My personal belief is that I think he had a lot of success in the wins category, not so much the stats and the actual play of him early in his career, right? So we went to the playoffs. We went deep into the playoffs in his first two seasons, which I think set the bar up really high. And then once, like I mentioned before, once they started to lose some of the offensive weapons, and specifically the offensive line, once pieces started to go, including, not only personnel, but with the coaching staff as well. Once Schottenheimer left, I think he went to the Rams, but that's beside the point. The point is that I think, I believe it was Tony Sparano who came in right after Schottenheimer as offensive coordinator. And, Sanchez, they say he couldn't read the defense, obviously by his decision-making and whatnot. But overall, I think they, like you alluded to, they held back the playbook a little bit. I also think that the West Coast system that Schottenheimer ran, a lot of play-action fake, a lot of ground and pound, play good defense and try to get the lead and hold the lead, don't make Sanchez try to push the ball downfield and take unnecessary risks. I think that that really benefited Mark Sanchez, and I think that benefits all rookie or all young quarterbacks for that matter. When you can simplify the playbook, get a lot of veteran leadership around you, and just basically manage the game. But when those good players leave, and when you're learning a new system, especially in a city like you're a first-round pick, and you already set the bar up so high, that it's hard to live up to, and you try to force things, and you try to not be yourself. And I think that's kind of what happened with Mark Sanchez. It didn't really work out with him in Philly, then he went to Dallas and he didn't really play and stuff like that. But now I think he's with the Chicago Bears. But I think overall, Sanchez, I think he has a good enough arm to be a capable NFL backup. But I think for him being hit so much by the offensive line after the great playoff run, I think that's what really hurt him, in his growth as a quarterback.
Right on, and we're talking here with JetsCentral 24. I wanted to ask you, Ian, I really thank you for the time. I just have a couple of questions, and I know that this is just off topic, but these are just kind of fun questions that I ask from one YouTube brother to another, man. You're trying to make, you're trying to make it in the YouTube game, and I'm trying to, advance my channel as well. And I looked back, Ian, at your JetsCentral 24 channel, and I saw that you have a lot of ride-along editions where you put the phone, and we're kind of going to nerd out here if you don't mind here talking about technical terms. You kind of put the phone holder like in your glove box compartment or whatnot to film. I just wanted to know, like, when you were just starting out with your channel, like, where did you get the motivation for that idea?
To be honest with you, I actually never had a quiet space to my own. With working all the time and then going to school all the time, I do a lot of driving. And when I wasn't at school and I wasn't working, I was watching a game or hanging out with friends or girlfriend or whatever. And I never really had the time to myself. Except one day I just realized going to school that I can make, when I was debating on making the channel, I can just make videos of just me in my, long car rides. I can just, put the phone in its holder like it normally, sits there. And, I can just, cruise along and just talk about the Jets like somebody was sitting right next to me. So I really thought that, that helped me get used to talking in front of a camera. Something that I really struggled with when I was younger, and I still struggle with it today. Class presentations and talking in meetings and whatnot. I still I'm not the most outgoing person, but I think this has helped me tremendously with just being in front of a camera and stuff like that. So
yeah, absolutely, and like when I'm in the car personally, that's a time, of reflection to think, and it's a peaceful time, like you mentioned, and yeah, usually, like I have a lot of thoughts too. The last question I really have for you is that when you were starting out your channel, and you now look at your channel, and it's definitely an up-and-coming channel, but it's also successful. Like, you got, tons of followers that are coming into your channel, your view hits are going up. When you first started doing this, like, was there, were there days when you're thinking, like, oh, man, like, I'm putting in this great content and I should be getting more views, or I just have to worry about the title of my videos more, like, as I'm kind of going about this process? Because a lot of people here listening to this interview, they might want to make a YouTube channel of their own. And what were some of the strategies to kind of get your page off the ground? And were there some days where you're thinking, why am I doing this? Because that's certainly, I still have those days, to tell you the truth. And we're still trying to make this thing together, Ian.
Right, got you. I completely understand. Okay, so do you mind if I answer this question it's going to be kind of a little long. Is that okay with you?
Ian, go ahead, man. I'm having a blast, and answer it however you'd like, man. I know it's kind of a personal question, but I'm enjoying the heck out of the interview, and any questions you want to go ahead and tackle, man, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. First thing I just want to address is that if anybody out there that's possibly listening to this interview is thinking about making a blog or a YouTube channel or trying to start their own business, it could not even be about sports. It could be whatever you want, cars, it is, whatever it is. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Starting out, I always thought I knew a lot about football. I always felt like I knew what I was talking about, and I was right on a lot of things. And I thought that nobody really listened to me, and nobody really cared what my opinions were until I made this YouTube channel. I will say this: if anybody's on the edge or thinking about, should I not? I highly, highly, highly recommend it because it's brought me so much joy. And of course, you're going to have the people, the doubters, and the people that say, your content isn't too good, because everyone has those. That's just the name of the game. If you're putting out content, you're always going to have people that are going to, knock your thing. But the point of it is, the point of your business or your channel or whatever it may be is for your enjoyment and your career path and your hobby, whatever it may be. So if anybody out there is listening, I just want to let you guys know, from one YouTuber to a potential and hopeful another one, I highly recommend it. And, it's just been a blast for me. I've had my channel for about like a year and a half now. I started in October of 2015, and I haven't looked back. Now, when I was first starting out, second part of the answer, it's kind of long, sorry. But when I was first starting out on YouTube, I was looking around on YouTube, actually, for like motivational speakers. Not really too much adults, but more kids my age. And I came across this video, and I came across this account, and I emailed them. I personally emailed them, and I basically asked them, what are some tips for new up-and-coming YouTube guys or new blog guys? What are just some overall tips that I should keep in mind? And the main thing that has still stuck with me today, I think about this every day, and I think about it every time, like, my confidence starts to waver, or my videos aren't getting as many views. The one thing he said to me was this: no matter what, continue to make videos. No matter if you're getting 1 view or 1,000 views, continue to make videos and just continue to push through, because eventually people will notice what you're good at, and people will notice what you're doing, and it will take off from there. And that's something that always has resonated with me. Just the constant don't give up attitude, the constant hustle for it. That's something that, when I first started out on YouTube, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I was really hoping for maybe 10 people to subscribe to my channel and really just speak to around 10 to 12 people, because that's realistically all I thought of myself back then. Now, I always thought I knew what I was talking about when it came to football and the Jets and stuff, but, I'm looking at it like, it's such a long shot and stuff like that, but, when my channel really started to kind of gain steam, I was looking myself in the mirror, and I'm going, wow, this was such a great idea for me to do this. And I was so happy that I kind of found what I'm good at, because I'm not really good at many things, really, other than sports and whatnot. To be real with you guys, but if anybody out there is listening and you got like your niche, or you say you're a girl and you like makeup and you are debating on making a channel, I highly recommend it. I totally would be all for it. And whatever your niche is, I would just say to you, just follow your dream and do what you want with it. Continue to create content, and just push through the hard times. And even if you're not getting the results that you want early, it doesn't matter. Continue to do it, because I guarantee you, that you will eventually see results, and people will come to your channel. So that's kind of my thoughts on that question. I apologize for the long answer.
No, that's one of the best answers I've ever heard on the history of my show. And Ian of JetsCentral 24, I'll tell you what, man, I'm ready to run through a wall now. I want to thank you. You're inspiring me with those words, and it was a pleasure interviewing you, man. And I wish you all the success in the world. And guess what? When football season comes back along, we're going to have you on anytime you'd like here on Rover Sports, and you can check Ian out at JetsCentral 24. And you heard it there, guys. If you have a passion, go ahead and get it. And just unbelievable stuff, my man. And have a great week. We'll catch up soon, all right?
Yeah, man, sounds good. Last message to everybody that could be listening: go catch your dream, because it's just sitting there waiting for you. So, with that being said, thank you, Spencer. It's been a complete honor to be, a guest on your show. I really appreciate it. I'm really grateful for the opportunity.